Peace will fill the world when we finally understand that only from within can it be spread throughout the land. Every single person living peace in what we do, only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true.
Good morning, friends. I'm Leona Evans, minister at Unity of San Luis Obispo, an inclusive, progressive, spiritual community affirming the good in all life. Welcome to our Sunday morning live stream on this important week before Easter Sunday. We've been doing a lot of spiritual preparation for Easter, which is important because Easter is a time of resurrection. But as we understand, a resurrection doesn't come without a crucifixion. And so when we interpret these ideas metaphysically, we realize that this is a time of the year when we consciously and purposely cultivate the overcoming spirit within us all. So, let's prepare for the service. Today, we are going to be honoring not only Palm Sunday, but the Passover service, which was also the Last Supper. So, let's begin by taking a deep breath and just relaxing right where we are. It's important to be fully present. It's important to be awake, alert, and enthusiastic, because today we are going to be talking about our spiritual identity. Each of us made in the image and likeness of the one omnipresent, living Spirit of truth, the Spirit of pure and unconditional love. And so for this, we need to be awake. We need to understand that there are certain aspects of our consciousness that are not fully awakened. And for us to become consciously awake is something more than we ask from ourselves in our everyday lives. So, again, take a deep breath, relax your body, open your mind and heart, and let us affirm together our invocation statement. I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. Once again, I am now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen. Let's begin our service with a joy song performed by Matthew J. Evans.
Good morning. Today we're going to sing I'm Ready for a Miracle. Please sing along with the lyrics on the bottom of the screen. I'm ready for a miracle, ready for a miracle, I'm ready for a miracle today. I've got my mind in tune for one, ready to experience one, I'm ready for a miracle today. My mind is open, ready to receive it. My heart is open, open all the way. I do accept a miracle, do accept a miracle, I do accept a miracle today. I do receive a miracle, do receive a miracle, I do receive a miracle today. I'm ready for a miracle, ready for a miracle, I'm ready for a miracle today. I've got my mind in tune for one, ready to experience one, I'm ready for a miracle today. My mind is open, ready to receive it. my heart is open, open all the way. I do accept a miracle, do accept a miracle, I do accept a miracle today. I do receive a miracle, do receive a miracle, I do receive a miracle today. I do receive a miracle today. I do receive a miracle today. Have a great morning, everybody.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That is a powerful affirmation, especially on this last week before the resurrection. Palm Sunday is an interesting time in the life of Jesus and in our biblical liturgy because it comes just a few days before the crucifixion. Palm Sunday has been seen as a day of celebration when Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey and was celebrated with people throwing palm fronds at his feet and celebrating and giving thanks for his presence, for his teachings, for his life. It was a beautiful time filled with symbolism, which we'll discuss in a moment. But I have been asked over and over again throughout the years, why is it that we celebrate Palm Sunday and realize that Jesus, just a few days later, will be going through the greatest tragedy anyone could ever experience? How does that happen? How can I really be happy on Palm Sunday when I know what's coming? This has been asked a number of times to me over the years, and so I have a theory about this. It's called the overcoming spirit inherent within us and how to prepare ourselves to be that overcomer, to be conscious of being that overcomer, and to experience that in our lives. Now, just because we have a celebration, just because we have a powerful and wonderful day where we're honored by those who are important to us, doesn't mean the rest of our lives are going to be challenge-free. What it does mean, and what we can extract from it, is that whenever we do have a high moment in our lives, it comes with it a realization that we are worthy of being celebrated, that we're worthy of being honored, and that we are worthy of experiencing all the things that are ours to experience in life with strength, courage, and equanimity. And so let's interpret this metaphysically and see what these situations on Palm Sunday symbolize. Well, first of all, many of us know that Jerusalem means the city of peace. Jesus represents the individual who was actualized, who knew consciously that he was one with the Christ spirit within him. Christ, of course, is not Jesus' last name, but it means the anointed. And so Jesus rides a donkey or an ass, and that is considered a very lowly, very humble animal. He is overjoyed by the celebration, the reception that he is getting from the people. They celebrate and honor him. And so when we put all those symbols together, we have an individual, a spiritual being, becoming fully human, who is humble enough to receive praise and not go on an ego trip. He makes his presence known in a very humble and honest way. He knows that he is there to be a teacher and to be a role model to his people. And he is discovering today that the people understand and know who he is. And of course, being the greatest gift that anyone can receive, Jesus is acknowledged and honored and celebrated and recognized as an individual who has a relationship with Spirit, who is one with Spirit, who is encouraging each of us that we are the light of the world, to let our light so shine that it cannot be hidden, and that all who are within that light rise to the occasion. And so, yes, it's important for us to know that. Jesus has had a hard time during his ministry. His life was one of moving from place to place, reminding people, as the Jewish prophets did, that God loved them regardless of their wealth or lack of wealth or stature in life, that God lived within them, that God was accessible by each of them through prayer, that healing was possible, that prosperity was possible, and that all the things that they didn't know about themselves, Jesus was going to come and share, open his heart and his mind, and all of the teachings that he had ever learned in the temple to those people, and remind them that God is unconditional love, and to love oneself and love one's neighbor as oneself is the ultimate commandment. This is what he came to teach. And how often was he honored and recognized for that? Well, very seldom. He was stalked by the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who were waiting for him to make a mistake so they could not honor him as a learned rabbi, but just as an impostor. And Jesus knew that, and he dealt with them in various ways, and he argued the Torah with them, the 5 books of Moses, and he did everything in his power to keep his focus on what was his to do, and also to remind people that just because they have money or a social position does not mean that they acknowledge or understand the ever-present love of God that seeks to be known to all people and to all life. And so today, on this Palm Sunday, he's recognized, he's honored, he is seen for who he is and who he wants to be. What a better preparation for the crucifixion could there be? Soon he's going to be celebrating the Passover, which we'll talk about soon. And during that time, he will recognize and honor freedom from slavery of all kinds and celebrate what it's like to live, to truly live in the promised land, which, again, not necessarily a geographic location, but a state of consciousness. A state of consciousness. So we're going to talk more about the celebrations on this day and the last week in the life of Jesus before the resurrection, after we hear some wonderful music from Brett Mitchell and Matthew J. Evans.
Here is an old spiritual that dates back at least to 1853, and I copied this one pretty closely to Louis Armstrong's version of Go Down Moses, or let my people go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when Israel was in Egypt land,
Let my people go.
oppressed so hard they could not stand.
Let my people go.
So the Lord said, go down.
Go down.
Moses,
Moses,
way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
let my people go.
So Moses went to Egypt land.
Let my people go.
He made old Pharaoh understand.
Let my people go.
Yes, the Lord said, go down.
Go down.
Moses,
Moses,
way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
let my people go.
So spoke the Lord, bold Moses said,
Let my people go.
if not, I'll smite your firstborn dead.
Let my people
Go,
go.
'cause the Lord said, go down.
Go down.
Moses,
Moses,
way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh to
let my people go.
Let my people tell old Pharaoh to let my people go. Let my people go, I tell you. Go down, Moses. Thank you, Louis Armstrong. Oh, and thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Julia. Appreciate it. Leona, I think you're in there too.
Thank you so much, Brett Mitchell and Matthew J. Evans. What a great song. Yes, I was there singing background with you along with Matthew and Julia Mitchell, and it's such fun to be able to do that with you and to share the music together. Great job. Thank you so much. Before we get into the Passover story, where Let My People Go is a very, very important part of that, let's just recap a bit about Palm Sunday. Again, Jerusalem represents the city of peace. Jesus is the individual who fully acknowledges the Christ Spirit within him, riding into the city of peace in a humble way on a donkey, and being honored by all the people there represent a triumphant moment where all the aspects of self are united. We know who we are, and we are willing to cooperate with what is ours to do. That's a really important point in the unfoldment of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection, is that he was one with the divine order of the universe. He had such a powerful relationship with the living Spirit of truth, deeply aware of how close and how inextricably linked he was, and we all are, with the living Spirit of truth that we call God, that he was able to surrender his ego and become aware that even if what he had to do, what was before him, was extremely, extremely challenging, he was not going to resist. And for me, this is the great message of Palm Sunday. Well, the Passover Seder is referred to as Maundy Thursday, the day before Good Friday, the day before he was betrayed by his disciple Judas. It was a celebration, a Jewish celebration of freedom. Now, it's really important for me to point out that Jesus was not a Christian. Jesus was a Jewish prophet, and he spoke about Jewish law. Of course, the law that he spoke about is a universal mystical set of laws, and all great religions talk about our oneness, our wholeness, honoring differences, the closeness and the richness of our relationship with Spirit, and beholding the Spirit of God everywhere we look. This is true of all religions. Now, many people think one has to be a Christian in order to subscribe to that, but for me, the most important of all the teaching that I do is to help everyone recognize that these mystical truths are present in all great religions in one form or another. The stories might be different, the cultural references are certainly different, but the stories are the same. The stories that Joseph Campbell characterized as the hero's journey. The journey is one of seeking out to a greater reality than the one that we're used to in our everyday world. It's encountering fabulous forces that seem to overtake us, but don't. As a matter of fact, they come bringing gifts that if we recognize them, we can take advantage of the opportunity to see those gifts, to use those gifts, and to resurrect, if you will, to a new level of awareness, a greater level of consciousness, and a greater level of understanding. This is an ongoing process. Whether we're talking about Dorothy and her friends in The Wizard of Oz, or Moses and the Israelites, or Jesus, no matter who we're talking about in terms of literature, film, theater, storytelling from the beginning of time, these are the elements that are included. And so for us to be able to understand, number one, Jesus was not the founder of Christianity. Christianity came, there were the followers of Jesus for a number of years, and 300 years approximately after his passing, Christianity was solidified at the Council of Nicaea. And so Jesus, of course, celebrated Passover and related to the Passover experience. The Exodus story, which is in the book of Exodus, one of the 5 books of Moses, the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible, which are referred to as the Torah. Now, it is said the Exodus took place 1,800 years before the birth of Jesus, which would be close to 4,000 years ago. And during that time, before the time of writing, the stories of the people of Israel were being told by the individuals who would carry these stories throughout the years from generation to generation, the people of the memory. And so this is how they knew who they were, where they came from, and the history of their faith. Well, during the time, about 1,000 years later, in the year 785, close to that, 700 years before the time of Jesus, when the Israelites were imprisoned by the Assyrians, they started to assimilate. They started to forget their heritage. And so they were being encouraged by the prophets to write the history down. And they asked, which is the most important story to write down that exemplifies the history of the children of Israel? And they said, the Exodus. The Exodus, of course, is the story of Moses, who received a message from Spirit, not from one of the idols that they worshipped, but from a voice that resonated from deeply inside of him. And the voice was to let my people go. And of course, at that time, they were enslaved in the land of Egypt for 400 years. They were beaten badly. They often collapsed from exhaustion and overwork. It was a very, very, very dark and difficult time. And the voice that Moses heard said, you can deliver your people from bondage. You can deliver them from slavery. And so Moses made efforts to reach the Pharaoh, but they were met with refusal. And so Moses lifted up his staff, and there were consequences for the Pharaoh's actions. Plagues, 10 of them, ranging anywhere from water being turned into blood, to hail, to lice, to frogs, to darkness. All of these plagues were a sign, Moses said, from God for Pharaoh to let his people go. But the Pharaoh wouldn't, until finally Moses came to him and he said, this is your last chance to let my people go, because if you don't, there will be a plague upon Egypt that is greater than you have ever known and can ever imagine. But the Pharaoh still said no, and so Moses said, tonight, the firstborn of Egypt shall die. Many, many years ago, the pharaohs of Egypt had decreed that the firstborn of Israel should die, so that they would reduce their armies and the size of their population. He said, but now, if you do not let us go, the firstborn of Egypt shall die. And the Pharaoh said, no. Moses went back to his people, and he said, prepare. We are leaving tomorrow. Pharaoh is going to free us. And there is one thing that you need to remember to do. Take the blood of a lamb and put it across your doorposts, because the angel of death will pass over this night, and he will not harm the people of Israel. And so the next morning was the Exodus. And every year since then, the people of Israel, the Hebrews, the Jews, however you refer to them in different historic periods, have celebrated the Passover, the blessing from Spirit, the freedom from slavery, and a memory that on this night, which is different from all other nights, we became free. I'd like to share a Passover blessing with you now. This candelabra has been in my family for close to 200 years, and this is the blessing that Jewish people speak before the Seder. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotov v'tzivanu lahadlich ner shel Pesach. And so we celebrate Passover with a Seder, a Passover Seder, a dinner and a recounting of the years of slavery that the Hebrews went through and the freedom. They eat matzah instead of leavened bread to show the haste with which they left Egypt. They put their finger in a glass of wine and shed a drop of wine, symbolizing the blood that was shed by the slaves that suffered so. There are bitter herbs. There are all kinds of symbolic foods that represent the story, and the story is recounted. And there are songs that represent those times, and there are times of joy and times of sadness and times where you eat and a lot of times where you just listen to the prayers. We recline in our chairs on Passover instead of having to sit up straight to show the relaxation of being free and how beautiful that can be. There's also a chair, an empty chair with a pillow on it, that represents Elijah the prophet. And the door is kept open so that Elijah can come in spirit, bless and partake of the Passover, and then leave in love and in celebration. Now, Jesus celebrated the Passover and celebrated the freedom from slavery. And of course, the next day, he was crucified. But because of Palm Sunday and the Passover Seder, known as Maundy Thursday, he had the strength to experience the crucifixion with a non-resistant nature, with a continual faith in the living Spirit of truth, and a message for the people who were there and for all the people in subsequent years. You are the light of the world. Breathe deeply now and relax as we move into our time of inner contemplation, meditation, and integration of today's message. As we move toward the time of the resurrection, let us give thanks for the lessons we are learning through the crucifixion experience, for the wisdom and the strength and the spiritual power we are gaining from being willing to work through our challenges. Affirm at the depths of your being, in the quiet, I am the light of the world. I rise and rise again into a greater use of my spiritual powers. I am blessed by understanding how the hero's journey works in my life. I give thanks for the opportunity to be a conscious observer in the ongoing process of overcoming, rising, and rising yet again. I know that in all times and in all ways, Spirit is within me, Spirit is within me, around me, ever present in my life. I am grateful as I move with non-resistance toward a greater awareness of the light. I see it in myself. I behold it in all others. And I give thanks in the name of the living Spirit of truth. And so it is. Amen. I want to take this moment to invite you to our very special Easter celebration online next Sunday. I thank you so much for being part of our ministry, for making it ours in the larger sense. I know that there are people throughout the world who partake of this service. But I want to invite you to the Easter celebration so that the preparation for Easter, the idea of the crucifixion that we have worked with, the goals that we have set for ourselves, can now symbolically be brought into manifestation. So online, next week, Facebook Live, we will be with you on Easter Sunday. Let's take a moment to bless the offering that we would share with Unity of San Luis Obispo. It is one of the most important laws of prosperity that we can never know and understand, and that is, as we give, so shall we receive. As we open our hearts in faith, we find that the universe supports us 30, 60, 100-fold. It is about the law of increase. It is about the law of evolution. It is about learning that there is no limit to what we can give and what we can receive. It's a learning process. And so let us bless the offering that we would share with Unity of San Luis Obispo today, knowing that we are blessed by our giving. Let's speak the words of our prosperity statement. I give in love because I love to give. God is my source.
Here's a song for Passover. It's an original song I wrote a couple of years ago. I call it the Passover Cedar Song. One, two, one, two. Passover Cedar song.
Beautiful song, Brett. Thank you for sharing your original work with us. I love that Passover Seder song. So thank both you and Matthew. It was beautifully done. Let's sing our peace song, shall we?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyful vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now, let's speak the words of our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Friends, please remember to press the like button and to share your comments with us. It is so important for us to know how you're experiencing our services and what you would like to see in the future. Also, please remember to tune into the Get Off Your Affirmation podcast. Our last one talks about the Will Smith controversy and puts it into a metaphysical, nonviolent, balanced perspective. So that and at least 45 other podcasts are there for you to choose from, and they are, of course, free of charge anywhere you get your podcasts. Have a wonderful, blessed week. You deserve it.
Every single person living peace in what we do. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true. Only then will our dream come true.